First up on The Factor, a Lyft driver is beaten and berated by a passenger, and authorities say it's because of his ethnicity, which makes it a hate crime. Investigators say in late July, Matthew Dunn berated the driver because he is of Middle Eastern descent and because of his religion. He then grabbed him by his hair and began punching and choking him while the driver was behind the wheel. Dunn is now charged with assault that caused bodily injury and faces 180 days in jail. Now, if you have any information on the whereabouts, you're asked to call the local police department. We're talking about Crime Stoppers at 713-222-TIPS. Now, there are regulations set up for Uber and Lyft drivers in the state, and they're required to go through background checks before being hired. But how are they being protected while behind the wheel from crazed passengers? What are their rights? Joining me now to talk about this is Fox 26 legal analyst Chris Tritico and Mustafa Carroll with the Council on Arabic-Islamic Relations. Sorry about that. And I've said it 1,000 times. First of all, this is a serious case. This has been elevated to the level of a hate crime.
Right.
How did it get to that?
Well, in Texas, any time you're accused of an assault or assaultive conduct, and as a part of that, you are doing it because of someone's race, ethnicity, religion, things like that, the prosecutor has the right to elevate it to that hate crime. Now, this is a rarely used statute, Isaiah, because it adds an extra element to the offense that the prosecutor now has to prove it was a hate crime when it may be easier just to prove the assault.
So typically, prosecutors would just go after the assault and leave the hate crime off.
Not have to prove that extra element. You could lose the whole case because a jury doesn't think it was a hate crime, but they thought it was an assault.
But you would leave the public, if they knew about the facts of the case, upset, saying you totally ignored the hate crime.
Without question. And what Kim Ogg said here, and I'm very happy with that she did, is we just went through the incredible thing with Harvey. The whole community came together. We're not going to get separated by race in this instance. And she did the right thing by charging this, I think, as a hate crime.
Now, Mustafa Carroll with CAIR, are you at all shocked by this in 2017, that someone is attacked as a result of where they're from or their ethnicity?
I hate to say no, I'm not shocked. We've seen this happen all over the country. We had a case earlier last year, I believe it was, where a Somali Muslim was attacked driving a cab, and he was beaten severely and actually won a sizable amount of compensation after that. Our indications this year have gone up. Our studies have shown that we're projected to have one of the worst years because this year, in the first quarter of this year, we had a higher rate, 91% hate crimes compared to 2016 at the same time. And 2016 was not a good year.
And what do you attribute the increase in hate crimes when it comes to individuals who are maybe minority in this community?
Well, you know, we've had, this is not new. It's not something that started this year, but we've seen an enhancement of rhetoric. Has been an uptick in rhetoric, an uptick in hate groups, white supremacists, if you remember Charlottesville, and a lot of those things have contributed. The more the rhetoric, the worse it gets, and people have convinced themselves that it's okay to beat up on people, to harass people, etc. And so that's what we see happening now with the rhetoric going on.
Is this an uphill battle for the district attorney's office? Is it important to get the right jury in there as well in Harris County?
Always important. Jury selection is the most important part of any criminal trial for both the prosecution and the defense. So yes, they want to focus on certain jurors, both sides on certain different jurors. But the message that Kim Ogg's trying to send here is an important one. And while, like I said, they don't generally charge this crime, in this instance, I think this was the right thing to do to send a strong message. And it elevated what was generally a Class A misdemeanor up to an enhanced Class A misdemeanor. So if he gets convicted, his minimum sentence is 180 days in jail.
Chris Tritico, Mustafa Carroll, thank you guys for coming on The Factor Uncensored.